So let me start the recording. Okay, welcome everybody to our first weeks of the summer camp student demo. I cannot tell you how excited we are. We were closed for close to 3 months. You know, we were missing our students. And at one point, we were not even sure if we would be doing the summer camps. But we were so glad that the conditions have improved and we were able to offer summer camp with CDC guidelines in mind. And we were actually taking only 4 kids. So you will actually see in our classroom, we have 4 kids, 6 feet apart each. And you also see Josh, who is our counselor at the tail end of the room. So, so we were operating at a reduced capacity. We normally have up to 8 to 10 kids, but we are starting with 4 kids just to follow the CDC guidelines. And we are happy that you are able to send your kids to our camp. 3 out of the 4 kids have been in our camps before, so we always love, you know, students who come back to us. We know them, they know us, and we really have a good time. So, and then it's also good that we have 2 siblings, right? So we have Nick Schneider and Renai Schneider, brother and sister on the left-hand side. And then we have Ryan Dingfeld and Connor Dingfeld, brothers, and who have been with us in the last summer camp too. And we really had lots of fun. One thing we were concerned about is, you know, how would the kids follow the CDC guidelines? Will they be able to have a good experience in spite of following all the rules? And we are glad to report that it went really well. You know, having less number of kids always helps. And since it is only half day, the kids, you know, are focused on what they're learning. And in fact, even when we give them breaks, you know, they're not moving out of the desk, you know, they're just working on their projects. So overall, I feel like this week has been great. You know, we are just glad that we started and we are glad to have your kids. So we'll go through each of the kids, you know, who will showcase the work that they did. But before they show their work, I just want to put in perspective why we are teaching this and how it is useful for the kids in general, right? So 3D printing is a technology that is evolving pretty fast. In the last 10 years, it has evolved significantly. I believe that at some point, just like how we have regular printers at home, we will have 3D printers at home, right? So having a printer at home was something very rare once upon a time. Now, most of the houses have a computer printer, and 3D printers are also going to be that way. And we are going to be in a state where a lot of things can be printed off 3D printer. Like, you know, if you want some clamps or some screws, or you're, you know, putting a photo frame and you need some raw material for that photo frame, you can print the photo frame itself on a 3D printer. You can print some screws and whatnot for you to put that photo frame on the wall. And for kids, as far as any of the projects that they do, anything that they can think of, right? There is a lot of emphasis on innovation and creativity, and that's what we try to teach the kids in our camp, right? Yes, the kids learn all the subjects, you know, there is science, there is math, there is English, right? But it's also important for them to be creative, because their generation has to create new things that we couldn't envision in our lifetime. So when they have an idea, right, and they need to bring that idea in life, you know, typically you would expect that they would draw their idea on a piece of paper, right? Hey, I have this cool idea about a brand new bracelet or a brand new car, right? With 3D printing, they can really bring their ideas into life exactly how they look, right? To the exact measurement, to the exact 3D look. And it really helps them to put their ideas in action and to actually see how that creation looks like. And then the kids are going to actually show their creations. And just one last thing is, a lot of times, you know, we are used to 2D world, right? So you go to a leasing office and rent an apartment, they'll give you a 2D drawing of how the apartment looks like, right? Just on a sheet of paper, what rooms are, right? You don't get to actually see the 3D view. Let's say you are trying to get a deck done in the backyard, right? The contractor will give you a 2D drawing of how the deck will look like, but you actually don't see how exactly the deck will look like. Another example I can give you, if you are getting your closets done, right? Somebody will give you a 2D drawing of how the closets will look like. But a lot of times we see when the project is done, you will say, oh, this is not how I saw it, right? I thought of something else and the end product is something else. With 3D designing and modeling, you eliminate all those problems, right? You get to see exactly what they are going to build, how it is going to look like, including the right colors, and there is that much less chance of having any ambiguity whatsoever. So all those scenarios, right? Everybody is going to use 3D because you want to show your customers how exactly the product is going to look like. And hopefully we taught the kids how to bring their imagination into life. And then that's what they're going to show in the projects. So we'll start with Nick, who's probably our youngest in the camp. Nick, can you please share your screen and show us what you created? Hold on, unmute yourself and I'm going.
All right, so I created this house.
Go.
All right, so I created this house design, and it starts with this front side, and when you walk in, it's like the kitchen area. There's like a TV and like a pan and a table, and then there's a little plant. Then when you go into the next room, it's like the bedroom. So there's the bed, there's another little plant, and then there's like the working area. And I don't know if you can tell, but this is a art project thing. Alright, and then this room is the bathroom, and then on this side it's the garage. There's the garage door, and yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. Good job. Nick, can you mute? Hello?
Okay, thank you, Nick. So that was Nick's project. He built a house. We gave them a scenario of if they were building a new house, or even if they are getting into an apartment and they need to furnish an apartment, how they are going to do a design in furnishing that apartment. So that was Nick's project. Nick, what was the most fun part of building the house?
You can, yeah. There's two.
So the most fun part was probably furnishing the house.
Furnishing the house?
Yeah.
Okay. Good job. Thank you. Now we'll.
Yes.
Mr. Salim or Sheikh, I have a question for Nick. How tall is his house?
Nick, how tall is your house? You can talk. My computer will catch the audio.
Alright.
Okay, go ahead.
So I have to get alright. Well, the not the roof, like the walls are
Yes.
70 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And then the roof is 65.
Yeah. So can you unmute?
Yeah. So,
Um,
can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So one of the things that we try to teach the kids is to build the stuff according to measurements, right? So kids are very free to just build whatever comes to their imagination, but we encourage them to build something that is actually according to the measurements, right? They did a couple of projects where they had to follow the measurements. So they did build a boat according to the measurements which they were given. And that's how we encourage them to build it in such a way that the other example we gave them is, say, imagine that your apartment is 800 square feet, right? And you have to furnish your apartment within that 800 square feet, proportionate to how much space you got in the apartment. So that's how we encourage them to pay attention to the measurements of the objects that they are building. So now we'll move on to Connor. Connor, share your screen. And I'm going to go on mute and I'm going to let you talk, Connor.
For my final project, I did a lightsaber, and it's Luke's green lightsaber from the 5th Star Wars movie, and it actually got printed.
what was the most challenging part of the project, Connor?
Adjusting a few things that I had to take out so it could print.
Okay. So what's so unique about this lightsaber?
I tried to make it look exactly how it did in the movie.
Okay. And where did you get the source of how it looks like?
Just Google.
Just Google. Okay. Anything else you want to share about the creation?
This took about maybe 45 minutes to an hour to make.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good job. Thank you, Connor.
I have a question for Connor. Can you hold it up so we can see it? He showed it to us real quick. So it's fairly large, right? How long is that in inches about? We can't hear him.
He's muted.
Yeah, I think I was saying, he said it's around 8 inches.
Okay, very interesting. His favorite color.
Yeah, so we are super impressed by his creation. I mean, he showed a lot of creativity. And then there is also a concept called printing the object with supports. Normally, 3D printer is good at printing objects that are square in nature. So like a house or a block or a cube, like, it can print the square objects really well, but it has a lot of trouble printing the objects which are circular in nature. And if you see his lightsaber, it's almost entirely circular in nature. So he had to print with some extra support where the 3D printer actually prints some support that will hold the lightsaber on the platform while the lightsaber is getting printed. And that's a skill that I would probably say only the advanced kids actually get to see how the 3D printing happens through support.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and he has definitely, Connor really puts his imagination to work, right? It's, there's a lot of demand for product innovators, right? So we need people who can come up with new ideas, new product designs, people who can challenge the status quo and come up with new design of the same things or even new things too. So Connor, we should encourage him in that space because he has real interest and he has demonstrated that he can design new stuff. So now we'll move on to Renai. Renai, you want to share your screen, and you don't need to unmute yourself, just talk, and I think my computer should be able to catch your voice.
I did an interior design project. I didn't build like the actual house. I just did the inside. So.
Just one sec, Renai. Are you guys able to hear Renai?
She's low.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Renai.
So, this is the bottom floor, which has a bedroom, like a living room, and a bathroom, kitchen, and then the stairs go upstairs. And there's another bedroom upstairs. There's a living room and a kitchen upstairs. I made this to be like kind of like a beach house, which has everything on both levels, so that like you can rent out one of the levels. And then there's a pool.
And then there is a pool too.
Even at the beach.
And I always, tell in the camps, it makes me super happy when there are girls in the camps. I cannot tell enough how much it is important for us to encourage girls to be part of STEM, where they are pursuing engineering and all sorts of STEM education. And again, whenever I say that, all the boys in the classroom give me looks, right? And they say that I'm opinionated, but I think I'm okay to say that if you see this design, there is some character in the design. You see the chairs that Renai has put and how she arranged all of it, right? And you compare and contrast to what Nick has designed. I have two boys, and for boys it's more about utility, right? As long as it is functional, they are fine. They don't care about designs. They don't care about making it pretty and whatnot. But girls have such a fine eye for making it look pretty, making it look nice. And you will see the color combinations and the chairs she used. Everything is really good, right? So, and I cannot emphasize how important it is for every product, right? In the workforce also, we need to have equal amount of male and female team members, because the perspectives that girls or women bring is extremely important for any product, right? And this clearly demonstrate why it is important to have diverse perspectives when we are developing a product. So I'm super happy that Renai is in our camp. She did awesome. Anything else you want to add, Renai? How difficult was it learning 3D? And you have not done this before, right? Before this camp, right? So how difficult was it to learn this and to build this actually in 5 days?
Learning the thing was pretty easy, and the building was also kind of difficult. It wasn't that hard.
Yeah, and I mean, the reason why I try to emphasize is this: a lot of kids or a lot of parents who might think, I don't know if my child can do this. Sounds like too complicated. My child is not necessarily an A+ student, or they are not good in certain subjects and things like that. I have a lot of parents who talk to me about that. But some of these tools that kids have access to nowadays are really good, really easy. They are developed keeping kids in mind. This is not a grown-up tool that the kids are learning. They are learning a tool that was designed for kids, keeping kids in mind, and it really helps them to shorten the learning curve and quickly able to demonstrate their skills in the tool, right? So for Renai to just spend, even if I take 3 hours a day she technically spent 12 hours from scratch to get to here, right? So it's just amazing, what kids can do if you give them the right tools and give them a challenge to work on. they will always surprise us, right? I don't think, as a father, I can tell, we never give enough credit to our kids, right? Maybe because we just want more out of them, but it's amazing, when you give them the right tool and the right challenge, in my mind, they always exceed our expectations. So good job, Renee. This is amazing. Okay. Let's move
Renee,
on.
can I say something?
Yeah.
Tell Renee I especially like the design of her chairs. Very interesting.
Yes. I went to a house building competition. I think Home Depot or Habitat for Humanity, they have a house design competition, right? My boy, he was 12 years old and he partnered with another boy. And so when I went to that competition, most of the teams, right, they had either boys or girls. That's it. There was not a single team which had a boy and a girl, right? And all the houses that were made by boys, again, no color, no design, all about utility, all about technology, it's all about just, from a utility perspective on it. And you see the houses that are built by girls, they are completely out of this world. Like, they go all out in decorating it, colors or anything. And no surprise, actually that year, the girls team won, right? And it really opened my eyes, because obviously when my boy built the house, I thought, okay, this is a great house, maybe they'll win the competition, right? And driving back from that competition, I was like, does anybody like have a team where there is a boy and a girl who, I mean, just imagine if a boy and a girl come together and actually they build a house, I think it'll be amazing, right? For some reason, it doesn't happen that often. But I think we should encourage, more to have those diverse perspectives. And that's what we try to do. We are a little bit bummed that, now, we cannot encourage all these kids to sit next to each other and brainstorm and do, but I think given where we are, we did our best. And all the kids, did a great job. So last but not least, let's look at Ryan's creation.
Go ahead, Ryan. You gotta mute yourself.
I did.
Okay. So this week I made a truck. Here's my truck. It's based off of this truck, and I just decided to make it, and I didn't have enough time to finish it this week, so the wheels aren't on it yet. The reason it's in 3 parts like this is because the way the printer works, it would just like fall apart. So they each have to be printed a different way. That's why it's in 3 separate parts. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your hood?
Oh, yeah. So I spent 20 minutes getting this raised like it is in this picture here. Because I had to measure it right and cut it right. So that took 20 minutes just getting that raised like there. It wasn't too hard of a project. We just, since the days are cut in half, we didn't have enough time to finish. Last year I tried making a little box and it didn't turn out right, but I tried it again. Now it's fine. So here's the box.
Ryan is showing something on his camera. So.
Here. Oh wait. This is just a little box.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the projects that the kids have done. I'm super proud of what they did. One of the things that I encourage the kids is whatever they learn, they have to apply it. They have to apply it on an ongoing basis. This cannot be, oh, I did a 3D printing camp in the summer, and after that, there is nothing happening in the life related to 3D printing, right? So I continue to encourage them that they need to use it, right? You know, maybe you're doing a project for school and you build something, right? Maybe there is a necessity in the house and you download something or you create something. And as far as the actual 3D printer is concerned, one good thing is most of the libraries have 3D printers now. So if your file is done, you can take it to the library and then you can use the library's 3D printer to print it. And I also encourage you guys, if you ever want to print something in our center, you can always walk in with your file, and you know you can print it, right? That's a free service that we offer to all of our students. So there is no excuse for them to say, oh, I don't have a 3D printer at home, I cannot do anything, right? So just parents, please remember that, you know, encourage your kids to use some kind of a 3D designing, modeling, you know, encourage them to design something that is at house or something new. You know, there is always opportunities for them to exercise these 3D skills. If they don't use it, eventually they will lose it. So, so that's what I try to encourage the kids to continuously use the skills that they are learning in our camps so that they can apply to become more successful. That's pretty much what I have to say. Parents, do you have any other questions that we can answer for you?
I just want to say that I now have hope for the future, listening to the projects and the ideas. So you've given us hope.
Yeah, this
And a new car.
Yeah, the kids are amazing. You know, we have a lot of fun. You know, we also talked about how there is a possibility that they might end up in a job where they might have to interact with people from other countries, right? And we talked about, you know, how many countries are there. You know, we realize there are more countries than the number of countries that are recognized by United Nations. United Nations recognize around 200 countries, but there are around 265 countries or something like that. And it's important for the kids to think like a global citizen, right? So our world is shrinking, and more and more companies are in other countries as well, right? Coca-Cola is in all 200 countries. Amazon is close to 130 or 150 countries. You know, the companies where these kids are going to eventually apply for jobs are going to have a global workforce, which means that it is highly important for these kids to have a global perspective of what's happening around the world, how to interact with people all around the globe, and all those things. Yes, these kids are right now too young. You know, they're still not college age yet, but it's never too late to encourage them to have that global perspective, because that's where they are going to go. Their workforce is definitely going to be global. So continue to encourage them on the same lines. Make sure they're doing something in 3D design and modeling. And I think the skill that they are learning, that they have learned this week, is going to be helpful to them in the years running up to the college, and maybe when they join the workforce as well. With that, I would like to thank all the parents who were able to join our Zoom call. And last but not least, kids are amazing. You guys did a great job. Okay, thank you. We hope that your kids will, I know that some of you will be coming back to our other camps also. And we cannot wait to do more amazing things with these kids. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.